On the 10th of April, 1899, Teddy Roosevelt gave a speech that would, as far as I'm concerned, come to act as a kind of guide for the way in which I live my life. 80 years later, on that date, the 10th of April, I was born. So that speech as a kind of, it resonates with me. That speech was called the Strenuous Life speech. In that speech, he goes on to talk about, he makes parallels between a man, in those days everything was about men, or how a person can co-align their interests for themselves personally and also for their country, and how to live a strenuous life is the way to have a fulfilled life. And I'm going to basically read a part of that speech. I'm not going to read it all, I'm just going to read a small section of it. And I've decided what I'm going to try and do for the rest of my life, for as long as I can, on my birthday or within, a few days. It's 10 days after my birthday. I'm going to try and read that same speech as a document for myself to think about how I've lived my life for the last year and how I measure up against myself in this. Something I've thought about for a long time is that without struggle, there is no real reward. You have to push yourself. You have to struggle. You have to live a strenuous life to have a fulfilled life. So I'm not going to read the whole speech. I'm going to read a portion of the speech just from the first paragraph, because I think this is what you can take the most impact from. And if you want to read the speech, I recommend it, because he breaks the speech down to much more smaller bite-sized pieces where he addresses the first paragraph in individual parts. I wish to preach not the doctrine of ignoble ease, but the doctrine of the strenuous life, the life of toil and effort, of labor and strife, to preach that highest form of success which comes not to the man who desires mere easy peace, but to the man who does not shrink from danger, from hardship, or from bitter toil, and who, out of these, wins the splendid ultimate triumph. For me, that period of time created two of the most impressive people, two people for me who stand almost head and shoulders above nearly everyone else of that time. Teddy Roosevelt and Winston Churchill. Say what you will about them now looking through our modern lens, but at the time, those guys were, inspirational. I still find them to be inspirational. And their attitude was all about having a go, giving it your best try. And you have Roosevelt at one side who says, it is hard to fail, but it is worse to never have tried to succeed. And then on the other side, you have Churchill. Success is not final. Failure is not fatal. It is the courage to continue that counts. And I think that kind of summarizes their lives. They both had huge ups and downs, trials and tribulations, but they were always pushing. They were always moving forward, putting themselves to the sword and hoping to win the battle. And I think that's kind of something that we can all learn from. Because at the end of the day, if you don't try, as Wayne Gretzky says, another great man from a different field, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. And I like the idea of this every year. I'm going to look back and assess the last year and think, have I really pushed myself? What have I achieved this year? How hard have I tried to live the strenuous life?